All right, everyone. So I have come to the conclusion that my injection pump is faulty. So I need to be pulling this off. And in order to do that, I got to go through several steps, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, mostly by the manual. So here we go. The first thing I really need to do is get this radiator off. I know it's just got plain water in it because I was the one who filled it up, and it's, of course, it's dirty. Yep, smells like water. Anyway, so I'm gonna get this off, and then we're gonna get the valve cover off, roll the engine over to where we can find top dead center, because that's what the manual says to do. It also says to pull the exhaust manifold off, which I'm gonna do my best not to do that, just because it's gonna be another expense I don't want to have to pay for, like another gasket, and I risk breaking these bolts, although they don't look rusty, so I might risk it. Anyway, so here we go. We're gonna get this radiator off, valve cover off, and roll the engine over to the top dead center spot. All right, so got the radiator off, got the valve cover off. I ended up having to take the intake hose off that was up here. A better view of it, the one that goes up here to here. The valve cover was a little kind of tricky. I ended up having to take the thermostat housing off because the valve cover would not clear this back panel, and I kind of had to finagle it to get it back up. But I got it out top dead center, and I'll show you where I had to get it at. According to the manual, I don't know if you can see. Oh, I can't get down there far enough. But anyway, there's a spot. It says DC and T, or D and C, and that little mark between it means it's that top dead center. So that's what the manual says. So now it's come to the time to where we're gonna have to pull these filters off. And these filters are brand new because I put them on, and I'm going to try to salvage them, of course, and get the filter housing off as well, or get the filter bracket off. That's right down there. So I'm going to pull these two off and get the bracket off. All right, I got the filters off right here, and managed to get the filter bracket off. That actually came off pretty easily. So the reason to do that is because you got to get enough clearance to get this out. Now the next thing I got to do is obviously take these wires off, the positive negative wires off, and this negative is only going to this fuel pump right here that I actually rigged back up, and I got to get the fuel lines off as well. So the manual is actually calling for the removal of the exhaust manifold. I don't think I need to do that, because I'm pretty sure by the looks of it I'm gonna have enough clearance to back this pump all the way off. So I'm not gonna do work that I don't need to do. So I'm gonna get these fuel lines off, and then we're gonna get this pump out. Well, let me go check the manual. All right, so I'm gonna be right back with you. All right, guys, so I got the fuel lines off, the high pressure fuel lines off. It didn't go too bad. I actually had enough clearance to get them all off without pulling the exhaust off, so that's a big plus. Now all it's left to do is actually take these 3 bolts out and just slide this thing off. I think beforehand I am going to loosen this up. This is the an inspection plate. Just make sure there's 2 timing marks in there. I want to see that, make sure they're aligned. So I'm going to take this off first, see what that looks like in there, and then take these 3 bolts off, and then slide this thing on out. All right, guys, I got a success. Managed to get her out. Not too big of an issue. That nut on that side was a little difficult to get to, but I got her out. Made a note of that little timing mark there. I don't know if you can really see it, but to make sure that thing is visible and kind of get a general area where I where it's at before I put it back together, or when I put it back together. So I'm going to take this to a diesel shop. I am not going to do this myself because I, number one, just don't have the time or the patience, and number two, I just don't trust myself with it. Not something this critical. I don't really want to sit here and learn how this thing has to come apart and how it works and all that stuff like that. So I'm going to take it to somebody who knows that they're doing a little bit more with it. So I'll leave it at that. So I'm going to kind of button everything back up here, put the valve cover back on just to kind of protect everything from the elements and whatnot. And then once I get it back, we'll put it back on. So this is going to be the third time I'm actually installing this, and I took it off, had it rebuilt, I got it back, installed it. It wasn't pumping diesel, so I took it back. They said it was pumping diesel, so I reinstalled it, and it wasn't pumping diesel. Well, to come to find out, they had built it incorrect. Now, these things, I'm not an expert whatsoever, but these Russomaster Standardine pumps are directional, so they can be set up for counterclockwise, or clockwise, or counterclockwise. This is set up for counterclockwise, and they had it set up for clockwise. So once I found that out, I was able to tell them to correct it. They did. I got it back, and now I'm able to get them, or now I'm able to install this. And I'm going to kind of bleed this a little differently than normal, using a drill and a jam nut right here to spin it to actually pump diesel up through the injector lines before they get to the injectors themselves, just so I can streamline this process. So let's get with putting it on. We'll get these wires taken off, and then we'll get her slapped on real quick. Alright, so I got some of these injection lines on. I kind of got to do this in a sequence, because if I put this one on before these two, it really makes it hard to get to these two and tighten them up. So I put these two, this would be 2 and 4 on, then the main feed line, then I'll put for 1 and 3. But I'm gonna use my primer bulb here just to pump some diesel through it. And as soon as some diesel starts coming out of that fitting right here, we'll tighten that down, and that should be enough to get it into the injection pump. All right, so I got all the lines on, I got all the lines tightened up. The only thing I have not tightened up is the injection pump itself. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna bleed these lines kind of like on a bench test it would. So what I'm gonna do here, since this turns counterclockwise, I got this jam nut here, which is the exact same nut that this thing originally comes with, and I'm gonna tighten it against itself so I can use a drill to turn it. And hopefully we start seeing diesel push out of these lines this time in a counterclockwise rotation. Now, if you're wondering why I have the radiator here still connected to the machine, it's because every time I take this thing off, I lose like a gallon of oil, and I'm tired of buying it. It's getting expensive. All right, we're gonna do that. Reverse, see what we got. It would help if I turned the ignition on. Once again. My remote starter. Oh yeah. Lots of diesel that time. Cool. Now we can button everything back up. Next thing I need to do is roll this thing onto top dead center and get everything lined up so we can set the timing, make sure the timing is set correctly. In order to do that, I need to make sure I'm at top dead center on the flywheel back here. I'll line up my timing gear, or I'll line up the gear for this, and then I'll make sure I get this plate off on the side, get my marks lined up, and then I'll be able to tighten down the pump. So I'm gonna go and get that done. Yeah. got that timing mark lined up. I'm going to verify on the flywheel it says top center, and we'll get the gear put on. All right, that's right on the money on the backside. So we'll get this gear put on. Well, in a strange sort of sense, I actually got that on the first time. Interesting. All right, guys, so right here, you can probably barely see it. Get this right a little bit better. But there are two marks that you got to line up. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. I'll try anyway. Anyway, there's two marks you got to line up. That seems to be lined up pretty well, and then I'm going to go ahead and tighten the injection pump down, and that should be in time. All right, friends, well, the GoPro ran out of juice, so I got everything buttoned up, everything's timed, got the throttle unloosened there from with the strap, but I obviously don't have the throttle rod connected. But all the lines are connected, it's tightened down. Let's see if she's gonna start finally.